What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Abandoned Part 8. Once again, let's try to hit 1,000 likes. I know I'm premiering the video right now, so if anybody wants to hit that balance breaker or limit breaker tier, I'll leave the link actually in the live stream as well while I'm talking to myself. But yes, thank you so much for the support that's been up on this video. Once again, if you guys want to join the channel membership, just click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. It says join. Thank you so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing. I cannot thank you enough. What If Issei Had Ultra Instinct is in the works, let's just put it that way. Okay, I remember I said I was in page 7 last time. I've gotten like 2 pages farther than that now. So what if Naruto was a genius? What if Goku was locked? What if Goku and Vegeta was locked in Whis' staff? Part 1 could possibly be coming out, along with what if Goku was too overpowered. But thank you so much for the support. If you guys want to subscribe to my Dragon Ball channel, it will be linked down in the description below with Ant Popowski and Fallen DxD. Those are both my other channels. But thank you so much for the support. And without further ado, let's thank my balance breakers. Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Crumbling Darkness Fear, Aunt Lewis, The Beast YT3, Colex, Joshua Baldwin, Jordan Patchow, Mazaku, Dr. _MLG_ is the bomb, Asimodus, Grim Fireshot Gamer, Keep Saying 21, That Round Guy, Dragon Lord 0030 Fusion. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker, which is the highest membership tier. Without further ado, let's go ahead and go into part 8. If you want to follow along, we are right in the middle of chapter 5, where he says he was the king of the sky and thunder, Zeus. The introduction of Zeus. Here we go. "Well, I have arrived," Zeus screamed, making the entire hall tremble just because of his voice. He looked extremely confident and happy, maybe because of the game they will announce. After all, he was one of the gods that proposed the world-class grading games in the first place. Since the war finally ended and the end of the world passed, he was no longer needed to worry about anything. So this game was his greatest wish. "Brother, please calm down. You are not here alone. We should show the greatness of Olympus," the man that came with him recommended. He had a friendly smile on his face, and even perverted light could be seen in his eyes when he looked at the beautiful woman present. He had a well-built body, towering over 2 meters, even bigger than Zeus at his side. He wore a white toga, covering his left chest, and the same as sandals as his brother. On the top of his clothing, armor could be seen. It was covering both arms, his right shoulder, and a little bit of chest. It was deep blue in color, and suited him rather well, because of his short blue hair that only reached his shoulders. His eyes were a lighter tone of blue similar to the sky, and metallic gray trident rested on his back, emitting a menacing vibe. He was the god of the oceans, of Greek mythology, Poseidon! "Ah, you're right, brother. I only got excited because there are so many people here." Zeus pretty much screamed his answer, getting tired inside from Azazel and Serzex. Both of them were the ones that knew the pair of brothers the most. "Ha! Well, I can't blame you. Just look at all these beautiful women present. It would be an insult not to be excited," Poseidon commented as he commented on the women. He looked closer at each of them, only getting angry looks from the others except Gabriel. At the increase in killing intent, the god of the sea sweated heavily and turned his whole body around, his face pale. Angry women were the worst possible threat in the world. "Ha ha ha! Look at you! You sound like a scared little animal," Azazel laughed, once again loudly. "True, brother, it seems like you still have trauma with women," Zeus laughed, once again accompanying the fallen in his mockery. "Huh! You sure want to talk, brother. Hera doesn't even look at you." Zeus froze, and put his excited look froze with him as well. Pfft. Azazel laughed at Zeus. "And you as a boy, am I not single and no woman leaves me after a night?" Poseidon hit the nail right in the head. "Pfft. Ah!" Zeus recovered with tears in his eyes. He laughed at the misery of the fallen. By now, Azazel had a defeated look in his face, a depressing feeling emanated from him. "The karma, the sweet, sweet karma." Barkil and Shamazel laughed as well, happy that someone taught him his place. The rest of the guests were also discreetly laughing, the women giggling and the men doing their best not to end up as Zeus, Barkil, and Shamazi. They found the way to their tort from Poseidon too funny. "Well, it seems almost everyone is here." An unexpected voice was heard, making all laughs stop. No one felt the presence of this individual, not even the gods present. All of them turned to the origin of the voice, being lone chair next to Odin. That, just till some moments ago, was empty. A child sat there, but the sole aura of power he admitted was too big. It caused everyone in the hall to tense immediately. Shiva, the representatives of the three biblical factions screamed as they looked at the boy sitting peacefully on his chair. Shiva, when did you arrive? Odin, at his side, asked with a loud voice for everyone to hear. Since you did, old man of the north. I didn't speak because I found it interesting. Shiva quickly dismissed the reason of why he didn't speak till now. He was a handsome young boy. He looked like a middle school student with normal features, having a well-structured face with green and black hair, which more looks like bluish. He had sharp eyes that possessed bottomless divinity and limitless superiority. He was a representative of the Hindu faction, the god of destruction, in one of the tripade of the Hindu mythology, Shiva the Destroyer. While everyone was just staring at him, Shiva felt far away from here. He then looked at the direction he thought the presence was coming from. The direction he was looking at was unknowing the direction of where Issei was doing the ritual. At the same time, the reunion started. Something's wrong? Amaterasu asked, a bit intrigued because of looks in Shiva's face. He didn't answer. Instead, he activated his powers and a third eye appeared on his forehead, the Eye of Destruction. The scene caused everyone to stop their movements and raise their guards up to the maximum. Even the gods were no exception. He looked at the same direction and saw something he found extremely interesting. The current wielder of the boosted gear was going through a change. Interesting, young Issei. It seems that you are now someone different. It will be fun meeting you in person once again, Shiva thought as he deactivated his third eye. So basically, this meeting is going on when Issei is in the middle of transforming. Forgive me, I thought I sensed something, but it was my misconception. Shiva, as he turned back to the reunion, looking at everyone present. After the words of Shiva, everyone relaxed. They thought someone was going to attack them, but thankfully nothing happened. Phew, don't scare us like that, Shiva-sama. So Zek spoke, while relaxing a bit. In front of the god, you can't be too relaxed. My mistake. Shiva once again answered at the comment from the Mao. Just a few minutes by since the incident right now, everyone was talking amongst each other. Shiva instead sat on his chair, thinking who knows what. Asamotus, as normal, was sleeping. At the same second everyone tensed, they all sensed it. It seems they are coming. Zeus spoke for everyone to hear, getting nods from everyone except Shiva that only smiled slightly. Particles of light started to appear, accumulating at the seat of honor, if you want to say it like that. Light gathered, forming two silhouettes. After a brief moment, the light dissipated, and just broken pieces of glass lay in its place. Two men stood, one bigger than the other, while the other looked older than the first. They were guests of honor, the current chief of the strongest warrior of the Celts, Dega and Lu. Lu was the man that appeared to be in his early 30s. He had shortly trimmed hair and yellowish eyes. He was fit and looked rather tall. He wore an entire set of armor for the helmet, its color being pure white with some details in gold alongside Celtic runes of other designs. In his hand was a rather famous spear, a spear that was known to have killed Balor, a spear comparable to Gungnir and the true Longinus, a spear that was said to be impossible to overcome, named after itself the Spear of Light, Lu's spear, Bronarch. At his waist, another weapon could be seen, this time a sword, short in length, but with many incarnate runes on the edge of the blade. It was a sword capable of getting the truth out of any kind of being as long as the sword was at their throats, known as the Answerer, or as simply as Frack. The man at his side looked old, only less than Odin, maybe in his 70s. He wore a black cape with a hood and simply built leather armor underneath, also black in color. He had a piercing red eyes that made everyone stay silent. And the aura that aerated was heavy, but was also relaxed, as if he didn't want to attack. Well, hello everyone, it's my pleasure to meet you all. The old man sounded friendly. My name is Deda, chief of the Celtic mythology. The old man tell them his name, just for the pleasantries. And here at my side is Lu. Dega presented his companion and pointed a finger at him. A pleasure to meet you all. As the old man said, my name is Lu, god of light. The man pointed back at Data. When he named again, his tone was smooth and comfortable. He was quite the nice guy to be around. Well, shall we start the negotiations? We all have other things to do, so you better make this quick, Data spoke. As he sat on the chair that was complete opposite of the Mao's, Lu took his right-hand side. Of course, Data-sama. We wish to talk to you about the possible alliance between the Celts and the rest of the supernatural world. After the incident related to the Trihexa, many lives were lost, many places that were destroyed, and many to sacrifice something in order to gain peace. Sir Zek spoke in a calm tone. Everyone let him speak. He was the best speaker among them. Yes, our territory was also destroyed by that beast. Many of our people were lost as well. The treaty and the alliance was something we decided among ourselves before coming here. They'd have told Sir Zex, since he seemed to be the voice of everyone here. One of their places was badly destroyed. After the attack of the beast, we saw how alone we were useless. Maybe if we had help from the outside, many of our brethren would still be alive. My son and my sons were tragically lost during the battle. Did I explain to them? Loneliness clearly written in his eyes. That's why we seeked you first. We simply want two things from you, and we will have the alliance. Those words caught their attention of everyone. First, if anything of this scale happens again and we request your aid, you will come and help us. Second, no more war among all of us. That includes you, three biblical factions. Data continued his speech. He clearly cared about his people a lot. Dega-sama, we compromised to accomplish these two requests from you, and I give you my word we will no longer fight useless wars. We three factions lost a lot during this period. People, family, land, everything was lost. That's why we will never fight a war again. You have my word and the word of everyone present, Sir Zex stated while he stood up from his chair and then bowed at Data with the most sincerity he could muster. The rest of the people inside hall looked at Dega and nodded at the words of Sir Zex. Dega and Lu were awestruck. The former proud races that stole the believers and were full of arrogance were now bowing before them. The rest of the factions were practically doing the same. Dega and saw the sincerity in their eyes, while in others in pain and the rest in hope. At this moment, both Lu and Dega looked at each other, and the other faintly smiled. Their answer was obvious enough. In that case, we, the Celtic mythology, agree to the alliance. Let there be peace. Both of them spoke as they stood up, happy about the results. Good. After this, we shall sign the documents to prove that we have peace, Sir Zex once again spoke. Now moving to other subjects, we need to speak about the world-class rating game. That's something important, Azazel told everyone present. Rating game, Data and Lu asked, interested in the name of such an event. Is it a kind of sport? Lu asked. It seemed he was quite curious about this. About that, Lu-sama. It goes like this. The meeting extended for a little more than an hour. After all, they needed to explain what happened to the world after the attack of the beast and other things among the world-class rating games. After the explanation, both Lu and Daiga were impressed at the idea of caliber that could make the factions even closer, stop any more attempts to ignite a war, as well as making great benefits. I am interested. I want to participate. Lu looked like a child that just got a new toy. Daiga only shook his head at a little response of Lu. So I can assume you do not hold any trouble with it, Sir Zex asked cautiously. Against it? Why would I be against it? This is such a perfect opportunity to make the factions get even closer, prevent future wars, and also fight strong opponents. I'm really interested in your young generation. They seem to be fun to meet. Lu immediately gave his approval. Dega-sama, what about you? Sir Zex asked, expectantly at Dega. He only nodded and said, I also do not hold any complaint. I actually believe it will be interesting. He accepted the proposal. A bright light shone in his eyes. It seems everyone approved the motion. Ajuka was satisfied at the outcome. Then why don't we start making the rules so we can finally say the produce? They all nodded at the words of Ajuka. After some discussions, they came to the rules of the game. I'm not going to bother reading the rules of the game. Here we go. After a few minutes, they decided the rules. The price was decided by Shiva, saying it will be more fun that way. Everyone agreed. The rules were quite simple and easy to understand. Now the real problem came, the official name. When they said that, everyone looked fiercely at each other as if blood will be spilled. But after the intervention of the woman, the way to decide it was done in a simple tournament, rock, paper, scissors. Right now, final round was starting up. Everyone gathered around the finalists looking intently at it. Zeus versus Zazel. Some way or another, the rest of the participants were eliminated, only these two remained. According to Zeus, he wanted to name the tournament Neo-Olympic Games, NOC for short. Azazel was even more shameless. If he won, he wanted to name it Azazel Cup. Everyone wanted Zeus to win. His name was so much better than when the one Azazel proposed. They looked intently at battle. Even Shiva was hoping for Zeus to win. Rock, paper, scissors, everything went in slow motion. Soon the winner was decided. No! Everyone screamed in anger and exasperation, clearly wanting to vomit blood and anger at the name. The only one who was happy was, fuck yeah! Azazel Cup for the win! Azazel was jumping manically, screaming because fate decided to side with him. Thank you, almighty rock. You're my savior. Azazel kissed his hand while praying in his rock in his hand. Everyone looked defeated. Even Shiva was a bit saddened, but the one who was feeling the worst was Zeus. He was on his knees. A depressing mood was entirely on him. Never in his entire existence he felt so much regret, pain, and loss. Okay, everyone, we have to end the meeting, Ajuka stated, getting nods from everyone except from Zeus, who was still on the floor laminating. But before anyone could, Amaterasu spoke. Oh, right, her carefree tone, she said. Everyone, this Friday at midnight at Kyoto's Imperial Castle, we're going to have a party for the recovery of a lost ancient treasure of our faction, she finished explaining. Everyone is free to come, she said sensually, giving a brief glimpse down her cleavage. No invitation needed. She winked at them, showing off her curves, but the answers were pretty much everyone gave her. Amaterasu-san, we are grateful, but we need to finish unsolved business in the underworld, so we cannot go. We're extremely sorry, Sir Zex told her with a slight regret in his voice. Amaterasu, they basically all just denied her. I do not believe anyone will go, but I'll ask, Shiva told the goddess, calmness in his voice and eyes. We still need to fix the majority of heaven, so it'll be impossible, an apology. Michael bowed in his head in repentance. We need to prepare for the game, so we cannot accompany you, Shimazan spoke, in regards to the fallen. We still have business to attend back home, and with the approval of the Alliance, things are going to happen. I need to calm my people down, Daida told her. He felt bad. The first event outside his faction he couldn't attend. Amaterasu sighed. She knew the answer before even asking. After all, right now only her faction was the one only taking a breath. According to the ones that found the artifact, they found it after the destruction beast did not in their territory, right when they were repairing the terrain of the Nasuno. The last time the artifact was heard was indeed in that location, so she was quite happy with the information given. Yakuza was the same report to the read of both of them of her subordinates. Don't worry, she waved her hand. A lot of things were still needed to be done. When everything's done, we can have party for a celebration, maybe even before the games, Amaterasu proposed. She was making future plans. Sure, she got an answer she was looking for. Okay, goodbye. We'll see each other when everything is done. She activated her powers, well said in those last words, and they first came, the three women left. Not too long after, they were followed by everyone else. The only ones remaining were the three biblical factions. Before any of you leave, I have something to tell you. Sir Zex stood by his chair and walked closer to the leaders of the fallen angels. This piqued their interest. They decided to stay. What is it? Pretty much everyone asked. After all the battles, we wish to talk to Issei about a promotion in the underworld. Sir Zex dropped the bomb, making the other races widen their eyes. He has done far too much, so we decided alongside with the council that we should promote him. Sir Zex was happy for his future brother-in-law. The faces of the rest soon turned into their normal ones. Yes, I believe after all he deserves a gift like this. Shimza had a smile on his face, and he gave his opinion on the matter. I concur. Issei has done so much for us, individually and general. A reward like this is truly something he will be happy for. Michael gently smiled. He remembered the moments he spent with the Issei, eventually happy about him. So, when will you tell him? Azazel was curious. He wanted a present at the moment to say that to him. The face he will make will be priceless. About that, we wished for it to be as soon as possible, but Ajuka was answering in place of Sir Zex. After everything that has happened, we haven't been able to even start the produce. However, after all of this, I believe that sometime by next Sunday everything should be done. I'll make sure of it. Ajuka was excited. He always felt intrigued by Issei. Just how will his pieces come out? He had a hand on his chin, hopefully whatever the results would be. I see. Azazel had a hand on his chin. Well, it won't be that long. He shrugged, a bit of unhappiness filtered in his voice. Yeah, I know it's long, but everything is done. I will make sure that he becomes a high-class devil. Sir Zex expressed this was his last job before he could rest. Then everyone, if that's all, we need to leave. Let's meet again another time. Michael stood in his chair and walked away, Gabriel at his side. The former magic circle appeared, and before long light filled the room, and both of them vanished. Well, it seems we also need to leave. Shemaza told them as he did almost the same as Michael, but the magic circle was different from theirs. Azazel was also with them. Quite rare since he always acted as if he didn't want to go back to work. Sorry guys, but this time I can't mess around. Call me when you got a plan to go for Issei. Next Friday will be my last day working, Azazel proudly stated, getting nods from only the 4 mouths and an angry mutter from Shemaza. As if you work! Light once again filled the room, and shortly after they all well vanished. Sir Zex gave a sigh. He was finally approaching his goal of relaxing. We also need to go. We have things to do. Ajuka stood up and towards the door of the hall. Since they were already in the underworld and their offices were upstairs, they didn't have to use magic. He got the nods from the 2 friends at Yon from Asamotus. He left first, not wanting for the rest. Not waiting for the rest. Sirzex-chan, Vibe-chan, we'll see each other soon. Bye-bye. Serafal followed him after saying her goodbyes. Let's finish this. Sirzex motivated himself to work. He stood up coolly and left the hall, leaving only the current Asamotus, which by the work of the destiny was still sleeping soundly. Snores were only sound leaving the reunion after that, clearly from a far too lazy Mao. Time skip, next Friday early in the morning, 6th heaven. Little do they know, Issei, our friend Issei, will not be present during this little high-class promotion, and they will find out something that they will regret. Anyway, back to the story. Now on the 6th layer of heaven, the Seraphs were having their last meeting of the week and hopefully the last for a long time. The 6th heaven was a beautiful place. Second, the last heaven, where the system resided, it was filled with tall, modern buildings similar to skyscrapers, all of them floating on clouds, creating a rather surreal image. The buildings had different heights, some closer to the ground, while far higher from it. They had different colors, but they followed the thematic of heaven, being that of gold, white gray, and even a little bit of red, of course, making them a bit of what not. Right at this moment, inside a pure white building that was shining in golden light, on the utmost level of the same building, a meeting was being held. The most important people of heaven, leaving aside the ones that were busy, were inside it. Inside the highest room of the building, many different angels were seen sitting on a round white oval table, all of them various wings on their back, and 12 in various colors. Most of the angels had multiple halos on their heads, but some had a single one. The leader amongst them spoke. Well, I pray today that this is our last meeting for a while. We all need a break, Michael stated with a tired voice. He needed some vacations. The rest present nodded their heads to his words with all similar expressions in their faces. Good. Then, who wants to start this meeting? Michael asked with a smile on his face. I shall start, brother. A masculine voice was heard. Shortly, a man stood up from his seat. Oh, Michael sounded surprised. Uriel. Excellent. Michael felt relieved at one who offered himself first to talk. Uriel was a handsome, middle-aged short with short, curly brown hair and golden eyes. A bandage covered the entire left side of his face as well as his neck. He wore the standard angel clothing, being a pair of white pants and a simple robe. However, his robe had flame designs at the borders of it and emanated a feeling of holiness and heat at his head. On the top of the interacting halos, a small crimson fire was lit. So before anyone gets a little bit bored here, don't worry, the story kicks up right basically in the middle of this dialogue, so just be very prepared of what's about to happen. I have the delight to report that 70% of the repairs to first and second heaven are finished. Uriel smiled at his own words. 50% of the third heaven, fourth and fifth, 20% of the repairs are done. He kept talking. If this speed keeps on going, in around 3 months, everything will be repaired. Uriel was happy at the work of the angels. They even received from help from the other factions, whether materials, labor, or other things. So, if things keep going like this, then we can see the games peacefully. A kind, naive voice was heard, said came from the most beautiful angel of heaven, Gabriel, and ever since the approval of the game, she had been in the best mood since a long time. Indeed, Michael nodded his head. If things keep going like this, we'll make it. Finally regaining his usual smile, feeling a huge burden was lifted from his shoulders. He relaxed on his chair. Finally, some good news. A woman spoke with a soft voice that has felt as if it was healing you. Have you decided to make the team for our game? The woman spoke again, eyeing Michael from the corner of her chair. Of course. Raphael, Michael replied. I have already ordered Dulio to start making a team. We still have much time left, so right now he is still looking for members. He answered the question of known as Raphael. Raphael was an incredibly beautiful woman, really close to the beauty of Gabriel herself. She had soft, creamy skin, and was a face that was the strict beauty of a T, while almost having a fancy of elegance. I'm sorry. She had an extremely light-toned, lilac-colored hair that was past lips and almost reached her thighs. The same hair that was in a wavy style, while a single rock of it crossed her forehead, across her nose, and extended the right side of her face. She had tender blue eyes, similar to the blue sky, wore sleevelessness, long dress similar to Gabriel's. It was light blue in the color, but of a tinge of violet on the edges, also being far shorter than Gabriel's, sealing her legs almost in the entirety. She wore white boots that reached her calves and staff on her right side. She said the staff was made out of bronze and emitted a wondrous aura. So it's like that, she crossed her arms. Very good. I expect a lot from our team. She smiled at Michael with her arms crossed and now closed. That smile was caused everyone to relax, maybe because she was the seraph representing healing. Well, it seems that things are going perfectly. Grisdell, please tell us your report. Michael asked the woman who was standing right at the side of Gabriel. Yes, Michael. She bowed to Michael, and she separated herself from her mistress. Griselda was an older woman approaching her late 30s. Her face was perpetual, with a smile, but her eyes were serious. That was all possible, creating a contrast that caused everyone to focus their entire attention on her. She wore a classic nun outfit, and I don't care what she's wearing. Here, let's go to the next thing. The missions regarding the remnants of the Quillipoth haven't been successful. Only a couple of hidden sites have been found out by either way and have no one of importance, or already empty. Griselda calmly narrated. To the Seraphs and Mitras, she felt annoyed at the fact that the rebels were hiding rather well. Okay, not everything needs to be good. How about the missions with the devils? Michael's satisfied with the report, so he asked once again. All this time, many missions have been done in order to help with the devils with their problem, political or not. Even among the three biblical factions, they clearly got the short end of the stick, so they decided angels and fallen angels to lend them a hand with what they could. About that, things have been going extremely well, she replied in an instant. Revolts have been dealt with, and with rather peaceful ones. A non-violent approach has been applied, but the remnants of the old malfaction are still rooted inside the underworld. It would prove difficult to completely remove in such a short period of time. Griselda finished her report with those words and went back to the side of her mistress. The Seraphs became quiet. Michael amongst them looked kind of worried. It seemed the problem with the devils was bigger than they thought. How much time do you think is needed to eliminate every seed from the old Mao faction? Michael asked Griselda with the indestructible look in his eyes. At most, she closed her eyes, more than 8 months, Michael-sama, answering while thinking. For a moment, the nun told the Seraph with an emotionless expression her face. I see. Michael put a hand on his chin, clearly in a meditative pose. Brother, Gabriel really said to her brother. She knew when he acted like this, he always worried about something. Sorry, Gabriel, but I am not worried about their situation. Michael replied to his sister while still thinking about the problem. Brother, don't worry. If they need our help, then they will certainly ask us. Uriel tried to calm his brother down. Yes, Michael, relax. Right now, we need to focus on what can be done, Raphael replied in logical ways. Michael calmed down. The double doors of the room were slammed open and a 10-winged ultimate class angel barged in. Michael-sama, he screamed at the top of his lungs. We have a problem with the system. This made all of the Seraphs inside of the room widen their eyes in shock. Michael stood up from the seat and ordered, "Take me there now!" He knew the angel wasn't lying. If there was, his wings wouldn't have flickered, even the briefest of seconds. "Yes, my lord," the angel replied, turned around, opened his wings, and started to fly in the direction he came from. Gabriel, come with me. He looked at his sister. The rest on guard, alert angels of all the heavens that something may happen. They nodded their heads. Dulio tried to contact Azazel, inform him about what's happening. Once you've told him, come to the last heaven. Michael gave his orders to the Joker while opening his wings and flying to the ultimate class angel. While flying, Michael asked the angel what happened, since they were still a distance away from their destiny. Although no one could get near the system, guarding the entrance was possible, of course, with Michael's approval. Gabriel was silently flying by the side of her brother, worried painted all over her face. What could have happened, she was thinking to herself, until the words of the angel stopped the train of thought. It all started a week ago. Since you left for the conference, Michael-sama, he began explaining, the system was shining brightly. Significantly, the changed possessor of a sacred gear. Soon after, the system launched lightning and holy power, stating that a Longinus possessor was dead, and a change the Longinus host occurred. This caused the Seraphs to widen their eyes. When we tried to contact you, the entire level ruled by the system shut down. It didn't let us escape the last heaven or make any form of contact. All for the past week, the system spewed lightning, holy power, and even flames. While catching his breath, both Michael and Gabriel were listening intently. My partner and I spent an entire week trying to escape, but everything we did was useless. The system didn't let us out. His voice was solemn. Just until a few moments ago, the system stopped and went back to normal. At that moment, I flew towards the place. I felt your aura and told you what happened. The angel finished his explanation. Meanwhile, they already reached the destination in the last heaven. A big golden gate with spikes was seen, of course. The only being the entrance of last heaven was not of the system itself. Flying past it, they went up to the road that was similar to the ones in the medieval era, with a slight difference being pure white in color. The sky was similar to the endless night, and the stars could be seen, as if the entire galaxy was just a finger away. The different planets glimpsed across the distance, meteors spinning around, going in different directions. A couple of the comets flew across the sky in third cosmic velocity, leaving only a trail of silver blue dust that disappeared into nothingness of space. The biggest star was proudly shining in center all. Even amongst all the stars remaining, this was the brightest by far, was the sun. It could be seen the furthest ends of space, the halos surrounding it moving around random directions, and some solar flares could be seen scattering brilliant particles all over the space. The angels continued their flight. Because they were accustomed to the view, it no longer surprised them as much as it once did. Soon after, they reached another gate, the one being shorter and much more bright than any of the other ones inside of heaven. In front of it, one could see another 10-winged angel, the partner of the one guiding them. Behind the gate, one could see the throne station right below the brightest star in space. One could see the winds of heaven, white in color, which turn the bright circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. One could see the mountains of magnificent stones at the support of the throne. There, 3 were towards the east, and 3 were towards the south. For those towards the east, one of the colored stone, one pearl, and one of marble, and those towards the south were red stone. But the middle one was at the center of the throne of God. It was a blaster, and the summit of the throne was sapphire. Behind the throne, a halo was shining in gold, white, and blue with white, illuminating everything in space. This place was the end of heaven and earth, the system of the sacred gears, as well as the throne of God. While taking a look at the system, Michael was surprised. It acted as it always did. No shining, nor lighting, nor flames could be seen. "Are you sure something happened?" Michael asked the guards. "Absolutely." Both of them answered instantaneously with certainty. "I see." Michael knew both of them couldn't be lying. "Then, please leave. My sister and I shall have verified exactly what happened." "By your will," both replied and flew away. "Brother, we need to check it. I know you don't like it, but it needs to be done," Gabriel told her brother. She knew he disliked the fact of sitting to the throne to check the system. After all, it was of father, but for the sake of everything they had built up till they needed to do it. "Sister, stay here. I'll go and check. Whoever appears here, wait until I return. So do not affect the system, only one could go inside." Reciting an extremely complicated weird spell, he opened the gate to the throne. As soon as he went inside, the gate slammed shut. Nothing could be heard from the inside. Michael went towards the throne and mentally asked for forgiveness to his father, who couldn't express how he felt. Sitting on the throne, he sent his holy aura and started to check what happened to the system. Immediately, he discovered that something did happen. So he focused more on that. Seconds turned into minutes. Minutes turned into hours. Michael, all of this time, closed his eyes, concentrating on what he was doing. After more time passed, he opened his eyes and sighed them with confusion. He discovered the reason of the anomaly, but he couldn't pinpoint. It was extremely weird. The first time since the creation of the system, flying toward the gate, he could see 2 silhouettes, one male and other female. Reaching the gate, he opened it and went outside. Soon after, the gate closed by itself. Now, in front of him, were his dear sister and trustworthy Joker. "Michael, son, I contacted the former governor Azazel, as you said, through your personal magic circle, but seeing that you would take your time, we decided to wait until you finished." "What happened?" "You took your time. It's already midday in the human world," Dulio spoke to the Seraph. "Don't worry, Dulio. After going to the 6th heaven, I'll explain it to everyone. At that moment, we'll contact Azazel." Michael explained as he walked to the 6th heaven. Michael was already looking at the right side of the floor. As he glued to it, an eradicate light filled his blue eyes. It appeared whatever happened to the system was something bad. They continued their walk, but both Dulio and Gabriel did not dare ask about what happened. Michael looked far too thoughtful, so they didn't dare stop his train of thought. After completely leaving the last heaven, they reached the 6th heaven. The sky changed from midnight to pure white without any cloud. At the moment when they left the last heaven, Dulio already created seraphs and told them Michael was back in the 6th heaven. Flying down, they approached the building they were once in. Opening the door from the room they were formerly in, Michael sat on his former seat and crossed both of his hands and his right hand of his face, not letting anyone see his face, but by the looks of it, something had terribly gone wrong. "Before we start," he said in authority, "Dulio, call Azazel to the circle. We need him to be with us." Michael, without moving from his position, ordered his Joker. The mentioned only nodded. From his left, in a circle of golden in color with many Ichio chain symbols spinning was seen. This was Michael's personal circle, only given him in case of emergencies. Soon after, the circle in his hand started to glow brightly, and a figure made its appearance, but not only his upper body could be seen. "Michael, what happened?" The voice of Azazel was heard. "I've been waiting for your call since I heard the news. Did something happen to the system?" Azazel was screaming at Michael, which was sitting on the chair looking straight at him. The look in his eyes could send chills down his spines of anyone present. "A problem occurred with the sacred gear system, a problem related to the Longinus," Michael calmly told the Fallen, making everyone silent. Everyone present didn't expect something to happen to the sacred gear system. "What? Don't tell me a new Longinus was born," the Fallen asked with a scream. Azazel was desperate. "The problem has kept away from sleep the entire day, now being Saturday in the early morning." "No, it's not like that," Michael told Azazel. While he removed his hands from his face, his eyes were completely emotionless. They had nothing, and those eyes managed to scare quite a few. "Then what?" Azazel was furious. His friend didn't tell him what happened, and instead of being direct, he was beating around the bush. Michael sighed, managing to tense the atmosphere a bit. During the moment, Azazel also calmed. The thing is, it seems that a Longinus possessor died. That made everyone feel suspicious. The words from Michael were weird. Why he, dubious, when he, possessor, died? Died? Why do you sound so confused by that? Azazel read him like a book. It appeared something weird happened. The system also acted confused. It seemed the possessor died and the Longinus was moving to another host, but... Michael sounded even more baffled. But? Everyone thought the same. His Longinus acted strangely. It appeared that it moved to another host, but it was still inside his body, as if the possessor was still alive and the system didn't know what to do. Michael's word made everyone look at each other, confusion and other emotions clearly written on his face. You mean that possessor died, and the system acted like it always did when a possessor died, moving to another host, but at the same time, the possessor was still alive during the process of the transfer of the sacred gear. The Longinus stayed with him, counting like a new host, but being the same one? Those words made everyone surprised, but Michael only nodded. It seemed the Fallen was right. Yes, Michael replied. During that period of confusion, the system acted strangely, but recently itself counted this host as a new one. However, I'm afraid I do not know which Longinus it is. But whatever happened, it definitely affected the system a lot. Even the Longinus segment of the system itself was pretty damaged, almost as if this system had a bug in its program. Azazel was really interested in this. Something like this. If news were to be known, then chaos will ensue. Michael, don't let anyone know about this. Only us and the chiefs of other factions may know about it. Azazel looked at Michael in the eyes, completely serious about this. You said you didn't know which Longinus was the cause. Michael shook his head. Words of the Fallen. Everyone inside the room was also silent and wouldn't let anyone know of the power of the system. Then the best we can do is seek all the current possessors and see which one was the cause. Azazel was content with himself, although it would be kind of annoying going around asking. It will be faster. It seems that's the only choice. Michael agreed with the words of Azazel. That might be the only way left for them. Michael was worried, anxiety ran all over his face. Never in history has something happened like this. It appeared after the battle with the beast, things would not calm down at all. Then keep me informed if anything happens to the system, Azazel said, breaking everyone off their thoughts. You have Dulio at your side. Has anything happened to him recently? Azazel asked, being this long and annoying mission. He's always been by my side, or beside any of the other seraphs, so no, nothing bad has happened to him recently, Michael answered Dulio. I see, muttered Azazel. Since he hasn't left your eye, we can discard Zenith Tempest from the list of possible suspects. Well, I'll contact you when I figure this out on my end. Azazel disappeared from the magic circle and soon left the seraphs with another. Brother, I don't like this. I believe something terrible happened, Gabriel told him. Unknowingly, the rest of present nodded their heads, even muttered a small, I think so as well. Sister, I don't know what I have to say, but I have to accept that nothing feels good. Michael replied in a sinister tone, troubled in his voice. Let's hope Azazel finds the cause of this. Yoel was upset at how things ended up. All of the good things, then in a split second, everything went south. Yes, brother, let's hope. And let's hope this feeling we have mistaken. It seemed this affected the Seraphs far more than one could think. Scene change, Department of Azazel, the Gregor. Azazel was inside his personal laboratory. Right now, he finished his talk with Michael about the problem with the system. I wonder, what was the cause of all of this mess? Azazel thought to himself as he stood up with his chair. Now he had a new mission, something that was extremely important. Let's start with the Gregor. Right now, I need to go with each Longinus possessor. Azazel walked out of his lab and straight to the door of his apartment. Walking outside towards the hall, he closed the door behind him towards the elevator. Once he saw the panel at the right side of the door, damn, so many levels. Just how can I find them? Azazel was thinking to himself when an idea came to his head. The game is coming, so Volley should be training at the bottom part of the Gregor. Slashdog is more difficult. He is either training discreetly or he went to look for his former team members. For now, the best choice is to go a Volley and ask him. Perhaps he may know Tobio was. Pushing the button was labeled as a 10-. The door elevator closed. After a little journey on the elevator, while humming the song he heard through the speakers of it, the doors opened. Okay, let's search for Volley. Volley! Stop for a moment. He sees him. I want to something to ask you. Azazel screamed at the figure wearing white armor. The figure, around. After a moment of hesitation, he flew down to the console and deactivated it. What do you need, Azazel? Volley asked while he removed the helmet of the Divine Dividing. About that. Has something happened to you recently, like in the past week? Something? He sounded suspicious. Not really, I only trained and trained. Waiting for games to begin, aside from the party you asked me to go to act as a bodyguard, then nothing of importance occurred this week. Volley smirked at the first part, a battle-hungry grin throughout his face. That smile alone made Azazel remove Volley as a suspect list. So it wasn't Volley. Has something happened, Volley? Don't worry, since you weren't seen since this last couple of days, I thought something might have happened to you. He perfectly lied at the face of the wielder of the divine dividing. One could be seen not for anything, he was the leader of the race. I see, Volley muttered. By the way, have you seen Tobio? Slashdog? If I'm not wrong, he should be upstairs floor, Volley told Azazel. He thought a new mission was available for the human. Thanks. The dragon was suspicious, but he continued his training. While walking to the elevator, Azazel was thinking, seems I need to contact Mephisto after this. He went inside elevator and went up to the floor. The door soon after would be jet black could be seen, many blades coming down from the ground, all of the eerie symbols seemingly cursed. Azazel screamed at Tobio. There's something I need to ask you. The figure turned around with its red eyes, the fallen chills. He watched the fallen spoke in distorted voice. Azazel-san, what's the matter? The figure said, was releasing his transformation at all. Has anything happened to you during this past week? The figure tilted his head, confused by the sudden question. No, not at all. So it was like that. The governor stood up for a few moments and scanned the figure in front of him. The figure had his eyes on him the entire time, but after the moments he gave up and shrugged. So he isn't as well. Discarded. Azazel thought as he went towards the department again. After all of this, I should check on them. Sorry, Issei, I'll talk to you later. He activated his circle. He was surprised at the sole number of them. The vast majority were of Issei, but now he had things to do. After a couple of seconds, it stopped in its place. The figure man could be seen. Azazel, what's wrong? A man could be seen. It was a middle-aged man, gold hair, which is a mixture of red and blue. About that manifesto, it goes like this. Azazel knew it was better to explain the situation. The answer he got was unexpected. What the fucking shit? You just told me? Are you sure you aren't going to selling old fart? Mephisto's true personality was revealed. He was a man that couldn't take surprises well. He was insulted and extremely surprised and angered. Yes, I am not senile. And who are you calling an old fart? The answer of Azazel. Manifesto surprised. It seemed the world was changing again. Well, that's absolute shit. But I can tell you why, called, and no. Absolutely nothing has happened to Lavana. Actually, she's quite happy. Ignoring the words of Mephisto, he listened to what he was interested in. This isn't going well, Azazel murmured out loud. The culprit, if could be like that, hasn't been found where he was filling him. Now who's next? Four Longinus were down and not many to go. After some time spent thinking, he decided to contact the Gora Hospital and visit Valerie. Using his magic again, he called, worried until it stopped blinking. Azazel-sama, to what do I deserve this honor? The head of the doctor of the Gregor Hospital spoke to him. He was an old man approaching his 50s. He wore a light lab coat and eye bags under a pair of bright blue eyes that matched his hair. I would like to know, how's Valerie doing? Nothing out of the ordinary during this past couple of days? About that, Azazel. Nothing has been wrong. Quite the opposite. Since her friend always been coming by to see her every single day, she'd been recovering at an alarming rate. Azazel knew it was impossible for the doctor to lie to him. After all, no information about the system has gotten out. I see. I'm glad she would want to support Gasper in future game. Thanks, doctor. He soon cut his communication. Disregarded, and now the Purple Cross. The Incinerament Anthem hasn't selected a host. This is also removed from the list. Azazel crossed 2 more Longinus. Since I'm going through the Holy Relics, I need to contact the Hindu faction, but Indra isn't an option. Since the God of War wasn't on the best terms with the rest, he's expected the information he could get out of him would be incorrect. So while swallowing his spit, he contacted the Soul God that he knew wouldn't lie to him. That's an unexpected, fallen angel. Why do you call me? I'm interested. The other voice is powerful and filled with strength. Shiva. Something happened. Those words made the god at the other side of the field surprised. What happened? It's about the system. And he just wants to did with Mephisto. He told Shiva what happened. Shiva was interested. Something like that was the first in all of history. That's why I need to ask you about the true Longinus and the rest of the high-tier Longinus. I know they are with him. Azazel asked Shiva, clearly knowing the rest of the Longinus possessors were with the Holy Spear. I see. Shiva, of course, knew about the Spear and the rest. After all, they were part of the subordinates of Indra. At least the Spear Boy was. I'll tell you, Shiva agreed to answer his question. The Spear Boy, the Mist Boy, and the Monster Boy have been in Indra's care. All of them except the Monster Boy interested in the game, so they are training at armies of Indra. It seemed both Mist Boy and Spear Boy are eager to participate. All of them have been with Indra, and not a single mission was given to any of them since the conference of the Celts, so I can guarantee you whatever happened isn't related to them, Shiva explained. Azazel was surprised by the fact that 3 Longevas were with Indra. He was wildly guessing. Okay, then those 3 are disregarded. If you may say that, Shiva, I have no reason to not believe you, Azazel told the god of destruction. Shiva only smirked at the cut communication. The god was thinking to himself, it seems you unconsciously did a mess. Issei, no, rather than that, Dragon Boy, when we meet, it will certainly be interesting. We have some things to talk about, the god of destruction said. Back with Azazel, damn. So that's true Longinus, Annihilation Maker, Dimension Lost out of the equation. Damn it! Each time less and less, Azazel was mentally screaming. He slumped back into his chair of his lab. That's 8 Longinus out. Azazel was tired. Not even an hour had passed since he accepted his mission, felt so tired. Next will be a Juka. Maybe the 2 missing Longinus are connected to this. Getting an epiphany, Azazel stood up from his chair, since neither of those Longinus was a high probability they were related to this mess. Ajuka was the one that was the most to them after he was scouting for both since quite time ago. Using the circle once again, the time soundly, Azazel patiently waited until someone he didn't recognize answered the call. Ajuka, someone's personal circle. What's the problem? A secretary? Azazel thought while he spoke to the say. It's Azazel. I have something to discuss personally with Ajuka. Sorry, but right now he's busy. Please for everyone. While cutting her off, Azazel spoke. Tell him right now that if he doesn't answer, his game will no longer be playable. Azazel told the secretary in a cold tone, scaring her. Moments in silence and soon a voice was heard from the circle. Azazel, what happened? Ajuka finally answered the call. About that. It all started an hour ago. After explaining the situation, Ajuka immediately answered. It's not related to either Telos Karma or an Inviant Clear. I give you my word, Ajuka answered directly. How are you sure? Azazel asked. He didn't want to leave the stone unturned. Shit, Azazel screamed. Ajuka could understand why he was so frustrated. If they didn't see the cause of the problems will appear. Ajuka, where's Sir Zex? You're lucky he's at my side. We're in a meeting that can wait. He already knows about what you told me. Of course, the only form Mao no. He was reassuring Azazel only not a gratitude. Azazel, another voice came from the circle. Syra Organ and Longinus Regulus have been in the underworld since more than a month ago. They have been training relentlessly. Both him and his Parage yesterday talked. By the way, I looked at the same as always. Sir Zex told him as he knew. Azazel trusted the judgment of his friend, so he didn't ask more questions. Fuck, then who's left? Azazel screamed for all to hear, his senses silenced everyone. Why not ask Issei Hyodo? Ajuka proposed with a questioning tone. Issei? That's impossible. He's with the girls. How could something like this happen because of him? Azazel refused this thought. However, the voice of the Mao once again heard. You already tried with everyone. He should be the last we know of. Maybe it's just an error in the system, but we better be sure. Those comments were logical, making the former governor rethink his decisions. Fine, I'll contact him. But I doubt he's the cause. Azazel gave up. Now's the time to everything up his sleeve. I'll tell you once I'm done. He cut the communication circle again. Time flew, but his circle still blinked bright light. Come on, Issei, pick up! Azazel didn't want Issei to be related to this mess. The circle continued its flashing, but nothing was happening. The light of the circle then died down. The communication with the other side couldn't be established. This only meant 2 things. He was either dead or a change in his natural aura magic reserves happened. Oh, come on. The death of Issei was impossible. So that left him with the change in his natural aura. He gave up his communication and started to think. What could have happened? Something big wouldn't be unnoticed. He did experience a change that would have come... Widening his eyes, Azazel remembered something. The messages. He now had an idea. Grabbing his message circle with his right hand, he sent a pulse of aura for the rest of the meaning. You have 23 unread messages. Of a robotic voice, Azazel smirked. He programmed for the more embers. What the fuck? He pre-programmed this to be more efficient. 16 messages from Hyodo, Issei. 4 messages from... The voice continued, but Azazel heard the number of messages Issei left, and it screamed at a robotic voice. Play messages from Issei Hyodo. Azazel was now standing upright, waiting for the messages to be played. Bleep, Azazel Sensei. Recently things haven't been going well. I'm not doing well. Please contact me as soon as you can, Issei says. Beep, Sensei. These things keep hurting me. I can't take them off me. I've been doing bad. The girls, they just aren't the same. Please, Sensei, I need help. The voice of Issei made Azazel bite his tongue. Bleep. Sensei, I do not know what to do. They just kept hurting me every single time. I remember these pieces are trying to kill me. Sensei, is it okay if I live? Azazel didn't know what to do. He was just frozen, stuck with only hearing. Beep, the final message. Sensei, no, Azazel, the pieces are still trying to kill me. Just how is that possible? They were supposed to help me, to save me, but now are they trying to end me every single moment of the day? They want my life. Beep. Another message. Azazel, Maybe I should listen to them. The pieces, they want my life. Maybe I should give it to them. It's not like anyone would miss me. Now, being on Issei's ninth mess, as Azazel just stood there. Both of his hands were curled into his fists so tight that they bled. Beep! Azazel, they're still here. They do not leave, just like my nightmares. The night terrors, they don't leave me alone. Azazel, I think I should give up. I tried everything. I tried everyone, yet every single time it just doesn't work. I contacted everyone. Zerzak, Sajuka, Grafia, the rest of the girls, you. But no one answered. When I try to talk, they all ignore me, scorn me, they insult me. You know, Azazel, I figured that everyone told me lies. Everything was a lie. All of them left me, so I should do the same. This is goodbye, my former sensei. Because I believe after this I will no longer be in the world of the living. All messages from Issei Hyodo played. Azazel grabbed the edges of the decks and his knuckles turning white. The edges of the desk shattered. The wooden splinters flew everywhere. He subconsciously released his aura, making the entire building tremble. Issei, what happened? What made you like this? Just what happened? The scream of Azazel was heard in the entire Gagar. It made everyone stop in their tracks. Volley, who was training, muttered, Albion. He was shocked by the scream heard from Azazel. It seemed something happened. Volley limited himself only to nodding. On the stairs of the episode, Tobio also stopped training. Azazel! What happened? Differently. From Volley, Tobio was much more surprised. He would never heard of the former governor's scream with so much grief, anger, and pain. Jin, it seems something terrible happened. The black dog at his side just looked at the ceiling. Maybe he was seeing the first scene just now. On a meeting room, the Catries were having their usual weekly meeting, but soon they were stopped when they heard the scream of their friend and former boss. Azazel! Palmine screamed at the top of her lungs. That kind of scream, Barkil added. He hadn't heard that type of scream in a long time. We haven't heard that scream since the Great War, Shimison commented. It seems something went terribly wrong and caused incurable damage. They hadn't heard something like that since more than a third of their forces went down by the combined efforts of the ultimate class that were trapped during the Great War. Every fawn in the Gregor was surprised, yet scared. The scream was filled with negative emotions to the point that it appeared like a volcano just erupted. We should check on him! Back at the meeting room, Piamin said, while getting nods from everyone, the magic circle their destination on Azazel's room. Soon they all vanished. Every capture at the Gagor was towards the former leader. A flash of light was seen inside the laboratory of Azazel. The place was a mess. Cracks filled with every single location. His blueprints, maps, and everything he worked was scorched because of his light. A figure released at the center of a room. The figure was on his knees. His bangs covered his eyes and generally his face, but the aura he irradiated was too big for anyone to get closer. Azazel! Shimano looked at his friend and screamed at him. He never thought something that bad happened to his karma friend to him like that. Shit! 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 Azazel screamed time and time again. Soon the entire room was filled with an aura that made everything vaporize. This degree of light surpassed every limit they knew. No one could realize the light that was being malicious. Azazel snapped back. Like that won't you solve anything. This may cause a great conflict. Hearing those words, Barkil, Azazel widened his eyes and stopped his aura. He stood up, just saying they were not moving. A hand was on his chin. He seemed he was meditating on something. I needed more information. Why was he like that? What caused his reactions? What is the thing about the pieces? It isn't about the evil pieces. I need to go to his place. Azazel concluded while he regained his formal atmosphere. That it made everyone feel better. Azazel, what happened? I'll tell you what happened when I get more information. Well, he activated his transportation circle, his destination, the Hyodo mansion. The flash of yellow light blinded everyone in the room. When they opened their eyes again, he was no longer there. The only thing that we can do is wait. When he comes back, he will explain everything, Shizuma noticed. Soon, every catcher in the room disappeared. Scene break. Azazel goes to the Hyodo mansion. Azazel appeared at the entrance of the Hyodo mansion. Well, it's been a while. Azazel approached the door and opened it. It seemed someone left it open. Issei, where are you? Calmly walking in, he thought of the various possible answers. The training field? Either of the two. Next should be his room. After that, maybe the URC? He mentioned his options, soon walked over to the elevator. He went inside and pushed the button that sent him down the ground floor. After a short trip, the door opened, but to his surprise, no one was there. And by the looks of it, no one has used the field in a long time. Weird. Even if Issei wasn't here, someone else would. It's Saturday and nearly early perfect time for training. It seems something did go wrong. Azazel turned around. He had nothing to do. Discreet a training field. He walked towards the elevator and went inside. It appeared the door hadn't been closed since he left. Inside it, he went down a floor, hoping for something to change. Nothing again. Seeing the second training field desolated, Azazel was becoming more suspicious. He took a look around and discovered that his field was at least used in the past couple of days. The messages are rather old. The newest one is more than a week old. The leaves two options. Issei was recently or someone else was. He looked around, but he needed to find Issei. Reaching the elevator door, he soon, around the last time seeing the desertic training field, made him sigh in tiredness. He pushed the button and the door closed. His next destination was the 3rd floor above ground. This is the location where all the rooms were at, and lucky for him, where Issei's room was in. Walking in the 3rd floor hallway, looked from another side to another, noticing how no one was inside the rooms. Weird, really weird. A suspicious growling as Azazel reached Issei's room. He walked inwards. But nothing was out of the ordinary. Everything was in its place. Not a single piece was in the wrong position. Okay, what the fuck happened? He could no longer tolerate it anymore. What was wrong with the house? First, I haven't seen anyone inside the mansion. Second, the first training field hasn't been used in some time, while the others just recently. While walking around the room, Azazel made note of his deductions. And third, this room is so clean that it seems as if no one has been here since forever. Even the smell inside the room was rather mossy. Azazel sat on the bed of Issei, but something was side that piqued his interest. Right at the side of where the desk was located, a wooden box was perfectly centered on top of it. He stood up and walked closer. The box was simple. It looked nothing in particular, but as soon as he grabbed it and lifted it up, he dropped it. Fuck! He yelled. Falling, the box hit the desk with a loud noise. Aside from that, something the desk fell, and soon a small, rather familiar device was found by Azazel on the top of the desk. That's a recorder. He grabbed the recorder and quickly noticed how someone videotaped something. Maybe this has something to do with Issei. Boy, what happened to you? Why suddenly you're so full of miseries? Azazel pocketed the recorder and looked at something in the wooden box again. Whatever is inside, just touching it made me feel exhausted. I even left my life force leaving my body. What's inside the box? He never looked his eyes out of the box, so he decided to test his luck. Let's try this again. He reached towards the box on the floor with a single hand. He lifted it up. As soon as he touched it, he felt the same as before. He opened the wooden lid, but what was inside it made take various steps back. Sweat filled his face, which also looked even more pale. Impossible. How are those there? Inside the box were Issei's evil pieces. Wait, the messages. They made a reference to the pieces. He widened his eyes. And that disgusting and hungry aura. Something went wrong with them. He quickly joined the dots together. Nothing. Not anything was called for one of the smartest supernatural beings alive. I need to contact the underworld. These pieces and recorder need to be seen by everyone. Azazel. In a magic circle that he used during going into emergencies, he took the box and went with his right hand, ignoring the hideous sensation from it. Patting his left coat pocket, he filled the recorder inside. Noting his head, he disappeared inside the circle. A big room with white pillars with walls could now be stood. Azazel? The four Mao and maid screamed at the newest present guest. Azazel, leave. Right now are we... Shut up! Azazel said in calm, chilly voice that startled everyone. I have no time for your bullshit, Sir Zex. Right now we have a problem. A really, really big problem. Here, he threw the two things he had in the maid, green-haired Mao. One was the recorder. The second one was the box. As soon as the maid received the recorder, Azazel told her, play it for everyone else to see. I myself still hasn't seen it. The maid. At the severe words of the fallen, nodded her head. At the moment the maid started the work, Azazel called once again. And you, he pointed to the green-haired, look inside the box and answer the questions I have, Azazel ordered, leaving all dumbstruck. Azazel summoned, the recorder is ready for the being played, the maid politely interrupted. Good. We'll see it after he opens the box and answers my questions. Azazel drilled the holes with Yu's eyes at the Mao. Ajuka opened the box, and so surprised, he let out a fall on the table. Content spread all over the table for them to see. Evil pieces? Was the comment of Sir Zex. He then grabbed the piece in front of him, but then he touched as he felt the light force leaving his body at an alarming rate. So he put his hand back in an instant. Azazel, where did you find these? Sir Zex was astonished by the side effect of the piece, still had him at all present. He couldn't answer since a light flooded the entire room and another magic circle made its appearance. From the circle, a man and woman came, Michael and Gabriel. Sir Zex, there's a problem with this... He stopped mid-speech and he saw the rest of the people inside. Okay, good timing. You two will need to hear this as well. Azazel ignored them and both them to say, they already know about the system, Michael. He told the angel, then mentioned the one and nodded his head. I also found the cause of the bug of the system and the Longinus who caused all of this. This caught their interest. It was the boosted gear. The bomb was dropped and everyone widened their eyes. Now I need to tell you those things. He pointed to the pieces on the hands of Ajuka. were Issei's pawn pieces. I found them in his room with the recorder. Now, Ajuka, I need you to answer my questions. First, what happened to him? Azazel lifted his single finger up. Second, why would this result of the inside a body of Issei? He lifted his second finger. These questions should do the trick. Later, I'll ask more. Ajuka grabbed the pieces and started to look through them. Meanwhile, the rest of the present got over there shocked and screamed at Azazel. Rather, two people did. What do you mean those are Issei's pieces? The maid and her husband shouted at the same time, worry and panic in their voices. I know. Since I found them in his room, they have traces of his aura. He explained once again for them, to the rest to understand. I am going to visit Issei after the last moment we saw each other, but he didn't answer the magic circle. He began his explanation. Thinking about that he was busy, I distracted myself. Then I remembered that I installed a voicemail in my own circle and looked through the messages. The majority were Issei, and they all started like this. Azazel leaned in against a wall and soon activated his robotic voice from the mail to hear earlier. Ajuka was still doing his analysis. Many magic circles spinning the Greiber sword were surrounding him in all directions, but no one paid attention to him. Beep! Sensei, these things keep hurting me. I can't let them off me. I have been doing terrible things. They've been doing terrible things. The girls, everything isn't the same. Please, Sensei, I need help. They all heard his voice. It was filled with so much helplessness, anxiety, dread. That wasn't the Issei they all knew. I have 15 more messages, each worse than the last. This one was the final one. I have received it more than a week ago, he told them. Beep, the message starts to play. Azazel, I think I should give up. I tried everything. I tried everyone. Yet every single time it just doesn't work. I contacted everyone. Serzex, Ajuka, Grafia, the rest of the girls, you. No one answered. When I try to talk, they ignore me. They scorn me. They insult me. You know, Azazel, I figured that everyone always told me lies. Everything was a lie. All of them left me, so I should do the same. This is goodbye, my former sensei, because I believe that after this, I will no longer be present in the world of the living. He saw how the faces of everyone, including Ajuka, turned white as paper. The worst response was from Serzex and Grafia. They looked at their souls were drained from their bodies. One could see tears forming on the eyes of Grafia and trembling on the mouths, shoulders, and arms. After that, I went to Issei's house, but I found nothing. Not a single clue aside from the box and recorder. All of the present turned their heads and looked at the pieces floating on Ajuka's hand. After that, I went to Issei's house, but I found nothing. Not a single clue aside from the box and the recorder. All of them present turned their heads around and looked at the pieces floating in Ajuka's hand. The recorder and the answers we get from those pieces are our last hope ever knowing what happened to Issei, and if he's still alive. Boom! A sickening crimson tide of energy erupted from Serzex, and at that moment everyone kept their distance from him. Everything his aura touched was destroyed to a molecular level. Like it wasn't there in the first place. The table, the chairs, the floor, the enchantments on the hall, even space itself was distorted. His shoulders were visibly trembling, and his face couldn't be seen. It was covered by his red hair, that flared up in black flames. The sound of dripping blood could be seen. On the ground was the only thing that could be heard. Serzex clenched his fist so hard, his nails digged into his skin, while his veins in the reverse palm broke because of the strength. Tainting his entire hand in his own blood, his skin started to peel back from the same arm, dropping the ground with a nauseating splash. Underneath it was still putrid, tangled black mess of something that took the shape of an arm. Seeing that caused almost everyone to prepare their best defensive spells. They knew that color, that form. But before long, the aura retreated and everything went back to normal. Serzex was still standing in his former location, now being perfectly circular crater of considerable depth. He stood there, unmoving, his shoulders still trembling. Everyone released a breath of they didn't know they were holding. Thankfully, they dodged a bullet. If Serzex unleashed his true form, then forget about the capital castle. Half Lucifid would have been gone, but it seemed they all tempted fate. Foosh! The room deceased in temperature, reaching almost absolute zero. A thick, white mist embraced all of the people inside the room, trapping them, ensnaring them, as if ensuring that they would never leave its grasp, perpetually trapped as they experienced an agonizing death. The walls were covered by a layer of clear white ice that reflected poor lightning in the room. All locations inside were frozen over. In another small pulse of aura, everything cracked. The chandeliers of the ceiling fell and turned into dust before they touched the ground. The paint on the walls and everything they peeled off became powder as if it fell to the floor. The breaths of all present became visible and hair-raising. Cold chills, slowly, almost as if enjoying it, crept everyone to everyone's spines. At this second, they all activated some kind of spell to protect themselves. That kind of ice wanted to extinguish the small ember of life that creatures possessed. Its sole purpose was to eradicate all life that it could. Grafia had hollow eyes. Nothing could be seen in them, almost as if she was a machine without purpose. A smooth white aura covered her skin, giving her the image of a frozen beauty, like a statue of ice that could be seen but not touched. The aura froze the air around her, forming mist snow inside the room. She was trembling, while tears fell from her face. But nothing after some minutes. The aura dissipated and she fell on her knees, crying her heart out. The heart-wrenching screech of broken woman that just seemingly lost one of the most important people of her life filled the room. Hearing the screams, her husband ran from the place he was and hugged her with all of his strength. Feeling her husband's warmth, she immediately clung to him like a lifeline. She cried, and once more she was in his embrace. Both were hugging each other. Sir Zex still not recovered. Blood was still falling from his hands as he clawed in his other arm, in futile effort trying to calm himself down. His eyes were bloodshot, probably because of his will not to break down due to everything he heard about Issei. He would never expect something like this to happen. Both Grafia and him, loved Issei as if they were their own little brother, so hearing those words from him literally broke them. Time passed and soon more or less recovered, just enough to have a clear mind. Sir Zach's hands stopped bleeding while Grafia stood up. Her eyes were red from all the crying. Let's continue, we need to know what happened. Sir Zex told the rest of them and only nodded. Ajuka, what was the result from the analysis of the pieces? Azazel asked the green-haired Mao. About that, nothing good. Dispirited, the Mao answered. Explain. While raising an eyebrow, Azazel came closer to the six of them. Until now, the angels hadn't spoke, but the look in Michael's eye, filled with an absurd amount of regret and guilt for not helping Issei in such an important moment, was visible for all to see. Gabriel was crying without a sound. With words were clear a big hit for her. Never, not even during the Great War, had she felt so many negative emotions at the same time. Just the words she heard from them were enough to make her cry. Clearly, Issei's experimented something no one should. It seemed the pieces were corrupted. Ajuka spoke loudly for all to hear. Let me explain. After that, ask away. He knew the questions they had. It appeared that the pieces malfunctioned in the beginning, not letting Issei Hyodo use them at all, not even for the slightest of things, but after a specific moment a rather familiar code corrupted them, even further, to the point that even mention of something he loved or cared about would make his body react to those feelings in a horrendously bad way. And if continued, then the pieces would have... Would have what? Grafiev interrupted him with a loud voice, demanding answers. Ajuka felt a bitter taste in his mouth. The pieces would have absorbed all of the life force his body had, slowly killing him with the greatest pain imaginable. In the best case, he would have ended like a mummy. In the worst, he would have had no body left. He would have turned into dust and would have crumbled at the softest touch. At those words, Grafia fell into the arms of her husband. Azazel was shaking while both crossed arms on his chest, gripping the forearms with all he could. You went through so much, Issei. And that is where we are going to stop for now. Get cliffhangered. I apologize, but to be absolutely fair, this episode has already been an hour and like 3 or 4 minutes, okay? These hour-long videos are kind of hard to do, okay? But thank you so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing, okay? Shout out to all my balance breakers once again. Don't leave the video just quite yet. I have a couple of announcements, okay? So a lot of people want to see my face on a live stream again, and I completely get it, I've already fixed my hairline, so too bad. But yeah, okay? Well, we'll see, all right? When I hit 30,000 subscribers and I get that What If Issei Had Ultra Instinct the movie out, I will do a stream directly after celebrating the 30K. Probably get a confetti thing just because I really, I can't thank you guys enough. It's really exciting to have that many people actually support me and do all these things. Like it's been one crazy ride, guys, and I can't wait to see you all. Wait to see you all on a stream. I've also obviously I've been training, so a lot of people are gonna be like, well, holy shit, you know what I mean? So I can't wait to see everybody's reaction and things like that. I definitely got a lot more jacked over the summer, so I can't wait to you guys to see the progress from last time. Last time a lot of people were complimenting on me on that, but it's a lot better now. So thank you so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing. Like, I cannot thank you enough. What if Goku and Vegeta were locked in Whis' staff will most likely be coming, as well as what if Goku was too overpowered, as well if Goku was the god of destruction, as well as what if Naruto was a genius, as well as what if Issei was a genius. Thank you so much for the support, and without further ado, remember to subscribe to my Dragon Ball channel, link down in the description below. It'll be down there. It'll have the @ and Palpowski. Maybe I should change the name. If you guys want to see a different change name, you can go ahead and make up a couple names. Maybe I'll take it into consideration. I already saw one, Spartanic DB, but I was thinking maybe something like Fallen Instinct or something like that, because it kind of sounds cool. But thank you so much for the support. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts DXD out.